Hi, everyone, and welcome to the sixth episode of the VC Corner. I mean, it feels like we only started this podcast series very recently, but we're already six episodes in. For those of you joining us again, welcome back. For those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. The VC Corner is a series of podcast episodes talking to seasoned entrepreneurs, seasoned investors, and seasoned VC capitalists to really get an understanding of their world and often shrouded with mystery to really understand what's going on behind the scenes. Today, I have the pleasure of being joined by Robin. Robin comes from an extensive career as an entrepreneur and an investor, investing actually in over 70 companies for his career, some of which we're quite familiar with, N26, Algolia, Aircall. And currently, Robin actually is the founder and managing partner of Robin Capital, his own firm. Actually, I think Robin established it very recently in June 2023. And since then, he's actually made over 12 investments in B2B SaaS environment. So, Robin, if you'd like to give us a bit of an intro about yourself, that would be amazing.
Sure, and my pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me. I don't know what to say. You already gave so much information, but ultimately, I think I would identify myself most importantly as a former founder. As a founder, you could call this operation I'm running here with Robin Capital also a bootstrap VC. And I'm trying to do my best to invest in founders, work with founders, be in the trenches with them, and hustle as much as I can to support them. And I just want to be at service. So I am at service and I want to be at service to the founders and people first. This is me.
No, that's awesome. And obviously, we kind of touched you. I think you mentioned just now bootstrap VC, but obviously, starting your own, solo GP firm essentially is quite an endeavor. What kind of motivated you to start Robin Capital, and how is it maybe different from other funds?
Yeah, very, very close to the introduction that I just gave. I wanted to be the closest I can to the founders. I wanted to be at service. I wanted to support them best I can. And the learnings that I had from being a founder, from being an investor in early and in growth stage, so I could really end to end from zero to IPO and even beyond support you. And the solo GP, I had the feeling gives me the opportunity to be the closest, the most agile, the most flexible, the fastest. So I could be myself. I'm just a collaborative person here, right? I work with VCs, I work with angels, I work with people who invest, I work with other founders. So I'm not as much as I have been before in a competitive role where I would need to win a deal. I try to be this value add person who is part of your journey. So I think by being the solo GP, I created something around myself where I am, again, wanting to be at service, but at the same time being very friendly and collaborative in this ecosystem. So it's the solo GP, but I'm never alone because I'm with everyone. And
That's
then I
awesome.
can fulfill the mission being with the founders.
No, that's perfect. And I mean, somebody, like yourself, obviously you come from quite an extensive background, within obviously the investment scene. You could have just pretty much, gone and joined a big firm or essentially joined, a mid-sized firm or however it may be. What motivated you to, essentially just launch your own firm instead of becoming a partner in a different firm? Like, how does that kind of differ potentially from what you're able to impact as a solo GP?
Yeah, I mean, I worked in a corporate in mergers and acquisitions, and then did early and very late stage buy and hold, and then I founded a company, and then I continued to build a company in the US, which became very big. It's now 550 people, and during my time, also a couple of hundreds. And I learned a lot. And when I came back to Europe, I was thinking what to do next. And I wasn't sure if I potentially want to found again and then I had offers to work in, for example, VC firms. A couple of them offered me general partner roles. And the Via, former Gaia Capital Partners, now the Via, it's Elena and Dalise, and they are amazing. And I love them with all my heart. They're very smart. They have been in private equity before for 10 years, and they created a fund, and they had the first anchor investor, and they had the first investments. And then they asked me if I want to be the third general partner building this first time fund with them. And I thought this is challenging. And I thought it's interesting. So I was like, okay, let's do it. So we did it, and we raised 250 million euro, and we deployed it in
Okay.
16 companies that we are proud to partner with. From, as you mentioned, in this first fund, is Algolia, Aircall, Frontify, and many others. And very thankful and happy that we and the whole team managed to create this portfolio. And then it was clear to me that I want to work with founders. So it made click that this investing part is cool, and I can imagine, and I want to do this for the next 20 years. The only thing is, I was in growth, and I think I'm good at it. But when you're in growth, you're not as close to be at service, right? You
Of course.
there is a service piece to it, but it's a different stage. So, and then I was thinking, okay, I want to now that I know I want to continue investing. Let's find an opportunity how I can do it in a way that suits my personality best. And I thought going earlier makes sense. And then I thought I'd do this solo GP. Not really a financial upgrade, because you asked me about why didn't I join. Of course, there were many opportunities to be in bigger firms. With better salaries. But now I wake up every morning and I'm grateful and I'm thankful and I'm happy that I have the pleasure to build this amazing, journey with these LPs, where most of them are founders, and working with the people that most of them are founders.
No, that's pretty awesome. Obviously, getting to enjoy what you do is part of the job is actually, what everybody kind of hopes. So, I mean, in terms of yourself, obviously, one of the things you mentioned is, you essentially you want to service the founders. You want to help them build something pretty exciting. Obviously, you made quite a few investments, even since June 2023. How do you really manage, the founder relationship you have to make sure that you are able to give, adequate time to each of the founders that you're working with, and really be able to kind of help them along the journey?
Yeah, it's a good question. To date, it hasn't been a problem. I
Okay.
have enough time. I mean, I there there's obviously many things that I do. From I have to raise the fund, and as you said, I established the whole thing here last year that I said I want to do it. That in February this year I started fundraising. In June I did the first close. By the time I had 3 deals warehoused that I brought over into the fund, and then I did another 6 until to date. So it's this 12 investments plus the first close plus preparing the second close. There
Yeah.
is a lot of work, but funny wise, and the calendar is full, but still funny wise, I find a lot of time to do what I love most, servicing. So absolutely correct. There's so many things you need to do, right? From sourcing, selecting, servicing, and this on the three is of course, the right pricing and timing, and also there's so many things to do, but servicing is something that is the most enjoyable to me. And yeah, to date, I have enough time. If I ever have a second or a third fund, and then maybe there's 100 companies in the portfolio, it might be different. But until now, 12 companies ad hoc on certain topics where they need my help, I think I can manage. And the three things that would come up the most that I would work with them is, I think, one, being this ally, right? Your friend, the founder to founder relationship of
Yeah.
eating shit, embracing pain, eating glass, and looking in front of the Oculus. And they call me and they're like, Robin, this is shit. And fundraise or whatever, it was hard and it was miserable and crying. And you call me. I'm there for you. We do it together as one. Nobody is failing here alone. We do it together. We do it as a team. We have a channel and all the founders, and this whole Robin Cap thing is the journey where we go together and
That's awesome.
as one team. And I think the second piece is probably fundraising, right? If you prepare for your next round, I'm already invested, and this can be network, can be the deck, can be the data room, can be anything. I have raised a certain amount of money, with this raising Series D and E, 50 million with Inside Partners, or 110 million with Silver Lake, or before job spotting with Horizon Ventures. There's some experience that I like to share, and obviously I've also seen it from both sides. And when you mature a little bit more and you go into growth and post Series A, then of course again I have a big network where I would support you. And I think the third thing is I've been there myself. And
Yeah.
if it's talent acquisition, if it's sales, marketing, brand, pipe generation, whatever is your problem, I'm happy to support you. And if not, I started to. We have now 3 venture partners who are amazing. Two of them are unicorn founders.
Awesome.
I'm now hiring a fourth talent partner. She's outstanding. Confidential today, unfortunately, but soon yet to come. And then there is an operator network with another 100 operators. So if I don't have the answer to whatever you seek for, I'm happy to connect you. If it's tech, product, design, things that I'm not capable of, I will connect you to the right person.
That's pretty awesome. Also, being able to give the founders the full-fledged kind of service, knowing that you're essentially there for the ride, good times and bad times. Sometimes, is a good testament to that. Um, Kind of jumping really quickly, Robin, obviously into essentially your journey. Obviously you began in corporate, then you went and became a founder, and obviously now you're running your own firm. So one of your, I guess, companies that you founded is Job Spotting, and I think a really interesting topic right now is around AI and machine learning. And correct me if I'm wrong, but job spotting utilize quite heavily around AI and ML to really personalize job matching and essentially aid the recruiters or the companies in that kind of fact. How do you think, obviously, AI since job spotting in 2014 has kind of evolved within the recruiting world, and do you think it's gonna kind of take a much bigger impact essentially on this kind of stance?
Yeah. I think it's absolutely exciting times, especially on this field, because it's very complex. On job spotting, what we did is my three co-founders were at the data quality search team of Google, and they were building the algorithm
Okay.
behind the first 100 employees of Google in Europe. So they were very capable. And the
Yeah.
four of us, we started job spotting. The idea was personalized job search. And even back then, Spotify or Netflix, I had to explain people that it would learn what this personalization is. And we had 3 million users in 12 different countries and four different languages, but ultimately we wanted to match the right person to the right job. And for this we used machine learning, artificial intelligence, graph database. We built our own ontology, and it was very difficult. And I think we had one of the best products in the world, but yet, and even until today, it's not fixed and not solved. And I've seen many others over the last 10 years evolving, but no one has really solved it. LinkedIn now has an okay matching algorithm, but even this is not solved yet, right? And
Yeah.
with smart recruiters, when we merged the companies, we had much more data to play with, right? Because at smart recruiters, we have 50 million people that we brought into jobs to our customers. So through them, we could learn and train the algorithm. And still, even then, it's very hard to build like a sophisticated layer on top. And now, with just 10 days ago, and OpenAI and everything you see, and all this
Yeah, that was
opportunity,
quite a lot of drama. Yeah.
I think one of the most amazing things here is the agents, the AI agents. And this is for everything, because we'll replace any kind of workflow and all this monkey work, from compliance to onboarding to whatever your, support. All of these companies, like a Zendesk, will at some point have an opportunity or product or a competitor, or they build themselves as a feature. But this will, if you wanna rebook a flight on Lufthansa, this it will feel like a human, and someone will be enter and book it for you, but it's an AI
Yeah,
bot.
100%.
And on HR in particular, on my problem slide in the deck, I would say, you can fly to Hong Kong tomorrow and you can book an apartment within seconds. And you can choose the size, the street, everything you want. You can say whatever you want, and then you can just book it and pay for it and sleep there tonight. But if you want a job on 2 streets away from here, whatever you want, you will not find it, and it will take you ages and months to find
So
it.
interesting. Yeah.
And I myself, I was so, I love this job so much, because what is the most important thing you do in your life? It's, probably decision making is probably who you marry. Like, you spend a lot of time with this person. And the second most important is probably where you spend 8 hours a day at minimum, like where you want to work. And this is what
Yeah.
fascinated me so much about this work, and why I still love HR and tenant acquisition, and because it's this human part to it. And because it's so human, it's so difficult, right? And how do we bring the human that you would in an interview only can focus on, is this person an asshole or not? But the rest, the machine would do end to end. So now with this new technology, I think for the first time in 5 years from now, there will be a bot. Right now, I already see a lot of cool features that gets implemented everywhere, right? From CV parsing to there's hundreds of different features in the HR world. But soon you will say what you want, and then this bot will come back like a human, like a recruiter, and will say, yeah, I found it for you. Here it is. Especially you have Egon Zinder and Russell Reynolds and like, plus 150K salary. But if we're talking about like a 40, 50, 60, 70, 80K job annually in, accounting, this bot will find the right job for you, and it will be automated. And I can't wait to see it. Right? It will not eradicate unemployment, but for sure it will make the market much more liquid. Right? Will have a massive impact even on GDP globally, like trillions. And obviously there's all these McKinsey and Deloitte studies around it, but I think it will be massive.
I think it's a super interesting topic, especially now with the cool analogy that I've heard recently, essentially, especially like looking at AI. Like AI is getting to the point, that we have HTTP, right? We have an empty web, and we're looking to populate it now. And I think what we'll see, like you mentioned, in the next 5 years, especially within, well, not especially, but actually within, the talent acquisition, the HR kind of piece. I think there's going to be a lot of things that change in the way companies essentially look to hire or look to recruit, and really kind of go forward from that point. But Robin, in terms of that kind of element, obviously, you're a founder, and obviously now you're running your show, like we mentioned earlier. In terms of looking at startups that you want to invest in, what is it that you really look for within a startup? Obviously, it's going to vary, I'm guessing, from company to company, depending on the people. But is there like a kind of playbook that you tend to follow, or anything that you tend to really look for to say, this startup is investable for me? I want to get on essentially on the horse and ride with you guys to see where it goes.
I think there is different variables to it. One is probably, the focus with the fund. The fund is B2B SaaS. Majority is in DACH. The rest is in Europe. It's pre-seed and seed. It's 50 to 200K tickets, 50 to 500K tickets. It's high conviction, but it's a follower ticket. So I'm this collaborative person who cares a lot and does a deeper due diligence, but at the same time is only following. So I want to have high conviction at the time. I don't want to regret. Right? It's not just chipping in, because also when I built this conviction, I can support and help you better. I think this is one. Then two, this is like a vintage of experience, right? I think the differentiator, me as a person here again, being investing, is I come from growth equity. So it's very much about high conviction. I'm a founder myself, so I know what's happening front row. And three, I've been doing this for over 12 years, having seen 5, 6, 7, 8,000 of decks. And this happens automatically. It's an automatism, right? It's the market and the TAM and the problem and the solution and the vision and the mission and the landscape and whatever you're doing. I have an understanding of benchmarking these things, I think, and I can analyze it within a certain amount of time. And then I need to make my homework and references and understanding the market and so on. But it comes down, and here comes the most important in the end, is the humans and the people I would work with, right? There is a no asshole policy. I don't care, right? I don't care if you've been in Harvard. I don't care if Index or Sequoia is investing, and I don't care, right? I'm not a follower. I don't do FOMO investments. I care. It's high conviction. So sometimes I would also do, often, of course, there are deals that are oversubscribed. I want to work with the founders. They want to work with me. And I'm very grateful that they choose me over potentially also others to allow me to place a ticket and work with them, right? But then there's also deals that others maybe don't see, and it's the underdogs or whatsoever. And I want to put all my trust in them, and I want to work with them. And then I say I do it, right? So it's a good portfolio mix of this pre-seed and seed, but also from like a tier one super hyped to something that I believe someone else oversaw. And I want to go in there and make it work. And in my personal angel portfolio, there's 2 of these deals where I had to convince everyone to invest with me. And now it's 20x each deal, right? So whoever I convinced made 20x on the deals already, because no one at the time wanted to do it, but I trusted the founder. I loved the founder. I went with the founder. We built these companies and they make revenue and they are profitable and they are growing. And now all these big tier one funds in their series A plus want to invest, and it's 20x. And so I have good learnings. But it's a mix. It's a diverse portfolio.
I think it's interesting. I think I hear it time and time again. It's more about the people that you back a lot of the time, rather than obviously the idea needs to be there and the kind of execution needs to be there, but it's the people obviously come first in that regard. But let's say taking it back essentially to the roots of it. I think you just mentioned now. You've seen thousands and thousands of decks. I guess if you're like a first time founder and you're looking to get in front of an investor, obviously having a good deck sometimes or most of the time is extremely important, because you're going to flick through quite a lot and you're going to decide which decks are you're going to listen to, which decks you're going to arrange meetings for. What is it that really captures your attention in a deck, or what do you want to see from a founder to essentially display to an investor in the first couple of pages of their deck?
I mean, some simplicity wins, complexity kills. Right? If you can't say it easy, you haven't understood it. The smartest people in the world, Albert
Yeah.
Einstein, will tell you something very complex, very easy, right? In a sentence. And you need to create your pitch, your storyline, whatever you want to tell, a very simple way that it's clear to everyone, that it's exciting, and you have to tell a story ultimately, right? It's important to bring this into a deck. I think it helps you. What I talked earlier, right, on purpose, mission, vision, on business, on financials, on the team you're working with, all of these classic Sequoia or Docs hand order thingy, and you bring it into it. And then of course it's good if you make it a little bit beautiful. You have a certain design, and right, and so it becomes a story. It becomes attractive. It shows you have done your homework and you cared, and you have made you know what you're talking about. For me, when I invest, it's important I can visualize this journey. I can visualize you going there, right? And you can tell me the craziest idea and I would invest if you believe it and I do it too. And for this,
Okay.
you need to have this very simple, good deck thought through that makes sense. And so I sometimes people want to talk with me and like pre everything, but I prefer. I'm happy to have very early talks and go pre-seed when no one else is there. But I think the deck should already be there.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think it's essentially taking the investor on a story with you, on a vision that you have essentially as a founder, to make sure that what you want to achieve and what they want to achieve is going to be aligned. One thing really interesting that I really wanted us to kind of cover, Robin, there's another company that you're involved with, and it's really focused around diversity and social responsibility. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing the name wrong, but it's Women Inc. Or if you pronounce it slightly differently,
Yes.
please let me know. But it's it's a platform that focuses to support career focused women. What motivated you to, or why is it important for you really to be involved in a company like this? I think it's really interesting to hear about this, these kind of companies that are making a difference in some kind of sectors.
Yeah. I had dinner, and we had a longer talk on, from Hobbes and Robespierre and philosophy and so on. And she was on a side where she would say, but I can earn money here and spend my time there best. And this money I would then millions could offer to somewhere in a charity, and then this would be more impactful than if I would do it myself. And I think that's okay. But I also think it does something to you, to your soul. And if everybody in the world would do it, if you do something good yourself. And of
Yeah.
course, you can give money to charity, and it's a very good thing, and you should. But at the same time, I can just recommend everyone. It's a cleanse. It's something to connect. It's being in the moment. It's supporting yourself as a human being. It gives you learning. There are so many things that whatever you want, you can even go in the kitchen and help there. But it's good if you do something good, right? Be kind, have a good heart, be in the moment, support others, and there's many ways how to do this. Women Inc. came by coincidence. One of my best friends, Leah Vanowski, she's a woman, and she's very successful. She worked at Axel Springer, Burda. She founded companies. She was a venture partner at Redstone, which €500 million fund, and she worked for Henkel. She did digital transformation. Later, she became the global head of D&I of Henkel, which is 40,000 FTE company in Germany in the DAX 40. And she was invited everywhere, and she became kind of celebrity in Germany for speaking reasons, and often she would come. This is what she told me. She would come to these events, and they would talk about what doesn't work and what they hate and how that they don't like men, for example, right? And she said, "Look, I want to make an impact. I want to make a
Yeah.
difference. I want to support women, but I think it has to be men and women supporting women, right? It's an agenda for everyone and
Yeah.
for the leadership team to support women. And diversity is key. And we need more females in leadership roles and many other things." So she said, "Look, we're doing this platform, and it's women, it's a male co-founder, obviously, and it's you, Robin."
Okay.
And I look at her and I'm like, are you sure? She's like, yeah. So we did this, and then we started making events and smaller events. We have sponsors like Tesla, Adidas,
Oh, that's awesome.
Deutsche Bank, and they would support us, and we would bring the absolute core, like amazing and outstanding females, and also who want to support certain journeys and where we create impact, C-level founders, unicorn founders, these kind of people that we bring together handpicked. And then the money that we would make from these sponsors, we would give to a charity organization, and we picked the Desert Flower Foundation. It's against FGM. It's Boris Diri. There's a movie on Netflix. She's in our board, and she's fighting FGM. But at the beginning, she was fighting one-on-one, but later she changed her approach, and she thought the only thing long and midterm that would really change is education. We need to educate the people. So they would do mentorships, they would start building schools and many other things. So through our platform and through Women Inc. and through the sponsors that we're working with, like Chiara Chaplin, the granddaughter of Charlie Chaplin, or a bigger former global, what is he, the German or Dach head of Goldman Sachs, Philip Holzer, who now owns the private equity. She did through the platform, she did the Chiara Chaplin School, I believe, and he did, like his father's name is Werner, so he did the Werner Holzer School. And we brought them together, and now and last year with Women Inc., we built 3 schools in Sierra Leone. So
Okay.
this is what we do with Women Inc., and this is what Leah and I do on the side if we find time.
No, that's awesome. Having this kind of stuff, I think it's extremely important. Being able to make an impact in certain areas that you feel passionate about, your friends feel passionate about. I think it goes a long way. And Robin, obviously, the other companies that you've been involved with for quite a while, I think a really interesting one. You were extremely early investor in N26. N26 obviously is quite a big name, especially around Europe. How did you kind of go about recognizing the potential for N26 very early on? Obviously, fintech in the recent years has been a much bigger hype than it was previously. I mean, how did you kind of see the potential for N26 to become what it is?
I think not at all what you think here. It was so early, and it was all about the human connection. I was on an event on a conference in Berlin called Next, and I don't know if it doesn't even exist anymore. And I co-founded an accelerator called Axel Springer Plug and Play Accelerator, where we had a 50-50 joint venture with Plug and Play Inc. in America and Axel Springer on the other end, who I was reporting to. And Louise and I, who was my former coworker in the mergers and acquisitions team, we went there and created this accelerator. And we had nothing at the time, right? We had to build it yet. We had to make the brand. We just got the rooms. We platform, investors, mentors, all these networks with hundreds, right? The CRM, deal flow sourcing with 1,000 a year and so on. So all these learnings came. And we made the first batch, and we had to get these startups who would apply and who we would work with. And so part of it was, of course, doing marketing, but the other part was scouting, running around and finding the right people. And I came to this conference and I met Valentin and Maximilian. They are Austrian. I look at these guys and we talk, and I look at him and I say, I make a bet. And if you lose, you have to join the accelerator with your startup, because I like what you just pitched me. Because they didn't want to move to Germany, and they were in Vienna, and they started this kind, and they didn't want to come. And I said, I make a bet that we have more than 50 mutual friends of Facebook, even we have never seen each other, and even that you are from Austria. So stupid, no? But I didn't know what to say. It was just me talking bullshit. And so we went on Facebook, and it was true. We had 78 mutual friends or something like this, because what he didn't know is I used to live in Austria before. I studied political science with the majors in history and politics, very different. And theology I did a long time in Salzburg. So this was not the real reason, but I think this gave the start of a relationship, and then they applied, and we did the contract, and then they joined the first check and the first batch, and I became the first Czech investor into N26 through the accelerator and with the whole team, of course.
That's very interesting. I mean, in terms of the kind of fintech environment, especially within the German landscape, specifically looking at that, do you see the fintech environment, kind of shifting now, kind of going back to the topic of AI, I guess? Do you see, in terms maybe of some of the companies you're involved with or companies you're hearing about, do you see that kind of shift in the fintech space?
Mm. I mean, there in this particular thing, they were a credit card for children called Papaya, and they pivoted into like becoming a real bank, right after seed, and then before they launched in January, they were then a bank, and then it went crazy, and 10,000s of people wanted to have the product, and then I don't know, Hito Sophia and Vala and a couple of other investors invested in Early Bird at first, and the rest is history, right? I supported even Early Bird. I told Christian Nagel, I told him like, you owe me a beer. And so it was very coincidence. There's nothing that I could claim that I knew something on fintech that others won't. I was a junior and I was young, and I just did my job trying to work with the best people. I couldn't tell you on anything. That's in retrospect. Now on fintech, I don't know. It was a very hot topic especially in 2021. And the two verticals that had been hit the most when Ukraine happened and when the markets crashed in B2B SaaS up to 60% on the public markets, right? We talk about Cloudflare and HubSpot and Datadog and Snowflake, right? Between 30 to 60%. Adyen recently even 50%. And fintech and crypto were the two most affected verticals, and fintech crashed. And I'm invested in a fund, Bit Capital from Jan Beckhaus, and there I'm invested in the fintech, and I invested in their all-time high, and I think I'm still minus 50%, but I slowly percentage by percentage is climbing up. I hope so. So
Yeah.
I think it will recover. It's a macro talk in total, and there's tons of interesting fintech opportunities I'm seeing. But it's really the question on where you focus on, what kind of transaction base, if it's B2C, B2B, B2B, B2C in one platform. There's many, many things, and it's very wide topic. In general, I can just say it took a very big hit, and it took longer to recover than any other. But it will be.
100%.
I'm sure it will be.
So right now, people are kind of holding tight. But in terms of yourself, Robin, obviously, you mentioned earlier, you're more vertical agnostic. You're not locked down to a specific vertical, a specific even geographical area. Is there any kind of verticals or any kind of maybe sectors or maybe even regions that you're really excited about? Stuff that you're seeing up and coming, or stuff that you're really passionate about, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned earlier that, I mean, there is certain restriction, right? Only B2B SaaS, only Europe, mainly
Yeah.
DACH, pre-seed and seed. And this is already a little bit narrow. And then in this field, it's vertical agnostic, but there are certain things that I like. I like DevOps, dev tools, cybersecurity, HR, machine learning, AI, of course, things that I've worked with in the past that I feel comfortable with. And I also, of course, I understand the dynamics of selling B2B SaaS. I would even say like no one else, right? Of course, like a rev op person who does this for business, or founder and who has sold, or someone who works in sales. Yes. But other than this, how could you, right? Of course, I understand attainment and quotas and pipe generation and everything on revenue operations. And I love it, right? I'm happy to open your Salesforce and HubSpot and go through it. So I feel comfortable on SMB market, but particularly because of smart recruiters is very high ACV, annual contract value. I like when it goes enterprise direction, right? When it's 40K FTE targets, prospects that you would like to address. And this is something you want to create the infrastructure for, and you need ISO and GDPR, and you need SOC 1 and 2, and all of these things we have done and all of these things I've witnessed and learned at some point, and I feel very confident and happy to support on these things. So if you're a founder and you do B2B SaaS, but you like to go in this certain direction, on product and creating the infrastructure, and then the sales, of course, and the whole go-to-market piece, I'm happy to support. On geography, which you also ask, of course, I love the Nordics. I love Europe in general. I think Italy is picking up, right after long years of stagnation. Spain, France is crazy. France is going through the roof since a couple of
Yeah.
years. It's overtaking Germany. And then, of course, I still think Germany is amazing. And then I love CEE, right? And I love to work with others. So in Romania, there's Bogdan from Underline. In Prague, there's Carolina from Credo. And wherever I go, I just love to have someone who I could potentially work with. And I don't know, I love humans and people first. So I'm excited wherever I go. But it's a European thing. I'm European by heart. I don't feel so much German. I feel as a human.
No, that's pretty cool. Obviously, that you keep, I think, mentioning it, the human approach, and I think that's something that is quite unique in that respect in this area. But I mean, in terms of quickly as well, kind of dabbling back to when you mentioned that, an early stage startup, essentially writing the ticket for a startup. How do you determine the size of the ticket? Obviously, I know you mentioned tickets that could be like 50K, tickets that could be a couple of 100K. What determines how much you invest in a company at maybe various stages?
Yeah, I mean, so the one thing is the separation between pre-seed and seed, right? It's 50 to 200, 50 to 500. And then it's also depending on my own capital call and where the fund is. And because the fund,
Yeah,
what I'm doing here is a hustling story, right? I'm not rich myself. I'm not from a rich family where someone gave me, the first 10 million to do some, or like he and his friends. I don't have an anchor investor, so there was no one giving me 8 million and say, here you go, have fun. And so I would build up on it, and then I hustled this. So I just started, and 3 months later I did a close, and then I had a little bit of money, and I called a little bit of money, and now I'm doing another close, and again I'm calling a little bit of money. So I think
yeah,
the more I can prove that I'm capable of doing great investments, the more then the LPs, limited partner, would start investing in me, and the bigger the sizes of the check would become. So I'm very transparent here, and I think most fund are not doing this. But this is a bootstrap VC. This is an entrepreneur story, and this is not
yeah,
entrepreneur at heart. I've never been an entrepreneur. I am an entrepreneur, and this again is an entrepreneur story. And so it's a little bit about the cash that I honestly have. And then I would say the other thing is obviously in the fund model, then the average model is 200K. And then on pre-seed, if it's a million round, then this is what I chip. And then if it's smaller, it's 100. So I just want to be flexible, and allow being very agile and flexible, but then up to 200. And then on seed rounds, of course, if it's a 3 million round and the lead investor takes 1.5 or 2, or there's a co-lead and then there's a million left, then I could do up to 500. And then we need to see on all the other amazing value add investors that would join. I'm just doing a deal with Lakestar on 3D tooling, and we are now bringing in, for example, a private like Anna from Iconic. He's a partner in Iconic Growth, and he worked with Datadog and HashiCorp and Snowflake, and he's joining. So there is a lot of, this is one example of many amazing people who are joining this round. So I just want to make sure that the founder gets everything they need and they want, and I want to be flexible enough that the tickets, of course, if I have high conviction, I want to place a bigger ticket, then sometimes
yeah.
I will get shaved, and it's okay.
Yeah, that's obviously really interesting to hear. I mean, in terms of a founder looking to secure their first investment, what is the best piece of advice you would give someone who's looking to essentially, they pitch themselves, they know what they're pitching essentially, they know their journey. What is the best piece of advice you would give them when looking to secure that first round?
When I started my company, I made this mistake, and I sometimes even make this. I make this most amazing deck, and I write to people, and I have a good RevOps operation, I have a good CRM, I track everything, and I reach out, and I have a funnel, and I create the pipe, and like sales, right? I do it like sales, and this is good. But there's one piece to it which is very much the trust piece, where someone would give you money even if it doesn't make sense. And I've seen people being fantastic fundraisers who did a very shitty job. And the reason is
Okay.
because they're very good at creating trust and building these trusted relationships. And I've never been that good This is also why I think I have been a good founder raising on FOMO and great KPIs and great company and great team and everything. But on LPs, on limited partner, for example, it takes much longer and it's more trust building. And sometimes I don't
Yeah.
take the time I should take. So my big advice here is do it better than me. Take more time, meet people first, have a conversation, and prepare this a little bit, right? And then you can still have the most amazing, beautiful deck, create the most amazing pipe, go through it and funnel them all. I call it herding cats. And in the end, get like 7 term sheets in a week and then negotiate it and get the best deal possible. But before this, go in there and start creating real relationships by just meeting people in person. It's different. And I see it with other GPs, they do better than me because they take the time. And I'm just thinking, this is the most amazing product. Robin Capital is the most amazing product. Like, here it is. I tell you everything. It's a great deal. It's a great, amazing thing. But this is not it. You need to take the time, and it's a good thing. And I have to learn it myself. It's patience, and it's when you're in a supermarket and you have to wait longer. It's the life telling you you get patience training for free. And this is what you do here, right? It's not personal. It's okay. You go to patience, resilience, all of these things, they come by nature, and just embrace it and enjoy, embrace the pain and enjoy the ride. This is the two things, creating these trust. And two, don't take it too hard on yourself. Life goes on and it's tough, but you make it work. I trust in you.
You mentioned you're there to service them. I guess I'm curious for the founders that you work with. Is it like an example that you can think of that going that extra mile really made a difference for the founder or for the firm? That you really helped them in that kind of transition or phase, whatever it may have been.
Yeah, plenty. I mean, there's hundreds of examples, but in we can go through the ones that these 3 things that I said. I'm your
Yeah.
alley. I'm right, and one was fundraise. So on a Monday morning, you are fundraising. I make you 50 intros. Who does this? I make you 50 intros to whoever you want to talk to. I will send the deck to any fund in the world. And the reason is these funds, I've pitched to them myself. They trust me and they believe in me. And I have made sure with you that the material and the company you are, and you're vetted by me. So now you have all my faith, you have all my trust, you have all my loyalty, and I love your courage. And now what I do is I just send it on to 50 people out on a Monday morning. And then I will guide you through the process. And I think that they're on a deal that I had once. No one wanted to do it. And so I did it. I just called myself. I called people and I said, you need to trust me. You need to trust me. And we got the round. 5 million valuation. And I got the million. From friends and family, I had to make work. And then we did another round on 12 million valuation. No one wanted to do it. I called people. 2 million. We raised 2 million. And now this company is worth hundreds of millions. And
No.
everybody makes 20x and one day makes 100, 200, 300x because they trusted in me and I trusted in the founder. It wasn't obvious, but then I just made it work. And these examples I have a lot. Like 3 years ago, there was a company, angel company, where they had advisors who weren't that good. They advised them to raise too high, and they burned a lot of bridges on their fundraise. And then I came in there, and the deck was not good. It was made for like a pre-seed vision bullshit deck, but it was a B2B hardcore like RevOps company. So we changed everything last minute, and then I tried to raise money where I can. And somewhere in America, we found 2 million. And then I sat with them, I gave workshops, we did OKRs, and now, they make 3.5 million ARR. They are profitable, they are going their way, and they're selling the product. And now, of course, every VC wants to talk with them. I'm so proud of them. All I did
That's
is I
awesome.
was emotional. I mean, yes, of course, I sat with them and I prepared the company and all of this, right? And how and who to hire and how to do OKRs. And I this is what I did. But this is just me giving support for self-support. And what I really did is this guy called me every day on WhatsApp and we had a call every night in 30 minutes and almost like, this is shit. And I'm like, no, we are not giving up. We're doing this together. You're not alone. We're making it work. And then we made it work just a little bit further. Once you want to give up, a little bit further, and another day a little bit further. And if it doesn't work, you say, good. You know this from Joe Rogan, this guy, like, good. Didn't work? Good. It's okay, good. We a little bit further. We go together. You're not alone. And I think I made a difference there. And I love this because they deserve this. And I want them to be successful. I want all the founders we work with ever with me as a person, but also on Robin Capital as a community. I want
Yeah.
them all to be the most successful founders. And I think it made a difference, and I will want to continue to make a difference there.
No, that's awesome. I mean, that's obviously, differences that you've kind of impacted. I guess, everyone likes to always kind of find out, what kind of made you think certain ways or what kind of impacted yourself as well. If you were to kind of reflect, maybe it's during your entrepreneurial journey, maybe it's during your corporate time, or even now, about a piece of advice that somebody gave you that maybe made you think slightly differently, maybe made you, make a different decision when it comes to investment strategies or strategies in general. What would you say that piece of advice that you kind of really have taken with you throughout your career would be?
There are so many, but ultimately, my father is the one who told me don't take it so hard on yourself, because I'm so hard on myself. I'm so hard on myself. I stress myself, and then he says it's okay, like it's okay. Just take it as a game, or don't take it so serious. I think this is good. On negotiations, Jerome, when I was talking to all these VC funds and we were raising money, and I talked to SoftBank, Bessemer, Sequoia, Founders Fund, IVP, TCV, all of them at the same time, right? 50 of them. Sometimes they start negotiating with you, and they would lure me in, and they would own the game, and I lose to own the game, but I am the one who needs to be on top of the game. So I started seeing it more as service. I'm just at service. Hello, sir. How are you, sir? Would you like to have a glass of wine? Oh, yeah, we have your regular table over here. Here's the pitch deck. Oh, yes, of course, sir. Of course, sir. This we have two for you, sir. Yes, sir. And I started getting into this attitude, and I loved it. I'm at this service attitude, and it's okay. I service now the founders, but I service my LPs. But I also love to do it. It's not breaking the life is about breaking the ego. And then Jerome said this one thing to me on these negotiations. The founder and CEO of Smart Recruiters, who I've been building the company with for a certain amount of time, said, "Robin, when do we get naked?" And I said, "What do you mean?" "We get naked when we are in the bedroom." So basically, I would start after that. I stopped negotiating with anyone or being, a little bit cocky and who's smarter. All of this, I'm just, amen, amen. And how may I help you today, sir? And when the term sheet is there and I have another one, then we can start negotiating. This is something on the learning on this fundraising and things. So because before I was like this and ego and who did what, and I left all of this. It's okay. No bad feelings, no ego. It's okay. I go to the next one and the next one. And if you say no, it just started. We will continue.
That's I think that's really interesting in that respect. I mean, in terms of yourself then as well, I'm guessing throughout the time you've had certain things that motivated you, maybe a book or stuff that you listened to in the past. For an aspiring entrepreneur or maybe an inspiring investor who wants to potentially open his own fund or whatever it may be in that kind of respect. Is there any kind of resources out there that you'd recommend for people to read or listen to or utilize in day to day?
I mean, I don't know. Look, there's all these books that you can buy. If you want, Elad Gil has this book on how to scale a company. It's great. You can read classics, biographies from Steve Jobs. You can buy 0 to 1 from Peter Thiel. There's a whole book storage I have here, and it's fine. This is all available, right? Everything. You can go to Point Nine on the block or Union Square or Andreessen, and you can read about it. There's nothing that's not available on whatever topic on earth. Lenny's newsletter and Substack, you will find whatever you're searching for. I think what helped me is I studied political science, history, philosophy, theology, and it helped me a lot on understanding human behaviors. And I think in the end, it comes down to who I am and who I work with and compassion and what does the other person in front of you needs and wants, right? This is the understanding of and ultimately, if you just read books about love, about compassion, or stories where you can connect and start reconnecting, because we live in a world with TikTok and Instagram and collaboratively working on Google Docs on legal stuff. I think this, will then bring you back into the moment and support you in your human life, and this will make you also in your business life better. So just take the classics and read a Roman, right? Or whatsoever. just calm down and read something.
100%. I think obviously we're coming back to point again. I think it's all about the people, right? The people that you work with, the people that are around you. That's what really kind of shapes that element. And I think there's a lot more to kind of unpack in that area. But look, Robin, I think we discussed quite a few in-depth topics that I think are really interesting. There's quite a lot for us to kind of potentially unpack in the future. But I really appreciate your time joining us today. I appreciate everybody obviously for listening. This has been the sixth episode of the VC Corner. So thank you for joining us and hope you have a great day.
Thank you so much.